I am your host, Jacob Prale, and you are listening to The Pen. We got your mom's favorite little leaguer and local pogue, Hunter Malone, your girl's favorite DJ, DJ McCarthan, and the Spinnaker Swiss Army knife himself, and the office aficionado, Drew McDonald, and we are joined today by former MLB player, World Series champion, and player Jeremy Guthrie. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, it's my pleasure to be with you. Nice to see you all.
All right, well, I'm going to kick us off. So I want to kick it back to when you decided to go to Stanford. How was that recruiting process like, and what was your reasoning to go into Stanford over other schools?
Yeah, what a really interesting perspective. I grew up in Oregon, and I went to a small school called Ashland High School, and I played 3 sports there, football, basketball, and baseball, and always wanted to be a football player. I wanted to be a college quarterback. Didn't get the opportunity, and so I attended BYU in Provo, Utah, and played baseball for the Cougars there in 1998, and then I took 2 years off. I was a missionary for my church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I lived in Spain for 2 years, and when I came home from my time in Spain was when I had the chance to go to Stanford. And so I was never recruited by Stanford. My dad and my high school coach made phone calls on my behalf while I was living in Spain. And because I had been drafted out of high school, the coaches were able to talk to some of the local scouts and kind of get some information on my pitching, since they didn't have any video or had never met me. And when I came home in the summer of 2000, I was able to make a decision to transfer. And I made that decision really based off of academics. The opportunity to go to Stanford seemed like one I wouldn't want to miss. And so I wasn't sure how baseball would work out after 2 years of not having played. But so that was the motivating force. And the recruiting process, like I said, was just kind of, it didn't really happen. There wasn't any recruiting as much as my dad and coach maybe recruiting me to them.
So today's draft day, you're also a first-round pick with the Indians. What's your draft day like back then?
Oh, draft day was not much special. There was no MLB network, and there was no flying out to New York or anything like that. So I think draft day was going to class in the morning and having the cell phone on you and hoping that you got called earlier than later, because obviously the earlier you get called, that means the higher you were drafted.
I've got to ask for go ahead, Drew.
Were you nervous?
No, there was my agent at the time, or my advisor, as they call him, in college, when you're an amateur. He told me there was probably 4 teams that would take me potentially in the first round. And so I think it was the Tigers at 8. He was optimistic about. The Rangers were somewhere in the 10 or 9 range. And then he said after that, he says it would probably be the Indians. And so nervous, no, anxious. You want to see what happens, and it's exciting for sure.
I got to ask for my personal benefit, because I'm a big Indians fan. What was your time like in Cleveland? How was, I guess, the come up into the major leagues? Did you your time in the minor league system, if you were there for that short amount of time, and things like that?
Yeah, I think the highlight, I started off in Akron, Ohio, which is a unbelievable ballpark, a great organization, the Akron Arrows at the time. It was the same year that LeBron James was getting drafted as the first pick in the NBA draft. So it was an exciting time to be in Akron. Our team won the AA Eastern League Championship that year. I also got to play in Buffalo. And so most of my time was spent in the minor leagues. My time in Cleveland over the 4 years that I was an Indian was, around 100, almost a full season spread out over 3 years. I didn't particularly pitch well as a Cleveland Indian. I did really well at the beginning. I pitched pretty well at the end of my minor league career there. And in between was a lot of struggle and a lot of learning. So my memories there are tough ones, because I was learning a lot and really having to go through a lot of challenges. But it's what makes you stronger, is when you can persevere through those ups and downs and recognize it's the process that needs to stay consistent, even when the results themselves aren't.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so following Cleveland, you went to Baltimore. Take me through your time at Baltimore. You said there was a struggle. Did you find a mentor, or was there somebody to help you along while you were in Baltimore? Because it's kind of where you blossomed and grew and kind of came into your own in the big leagues.
Yeah, one of the number of people that were really helpful. First and foremost, just the organization had a lot of confidence in me. My bullpen coach, Dave Tremblay, was somebody I pitched against a lot in Double A, and I think he put in a lot of good words for me, as well as a couple of the scouts. And so I just had people who believed in me from the beginning, which is obviously a huge boost. The player-wise, loved the players on the team. Kevin Millar was one of my greatest teammates. Super encouraging, the most kind and kind of open teammate you could ever have. Treated everybody the exact same, and as a big personality, it made a lot of fun as well. Really enjoyed playing with guys like Brian Roberts and Nick Markakis, Adam Lowen, Chris Ray. These are guys that were just made it a lot of fun to be a player in Baltimore and be an Oriole. Pitching wise, Leo Mazzoni probably had as much impact on my pitching career as anybody, and spending that year with him just really built my understanding of things I could do to be a successful pitcher. And I really clicked with him personality wise. I was sad to see him not be re-signed after that first season, but I'm grateful for the season that I did have with him.
What was your favorite road trip, like experience on the road with the guys, with the Orioles?
I always enjoyed going to New York and Toronto. It's fun to play in Baltimore. Your cities are, great cities: Boston, New York City, Toronto. And so I think just being around the veteran players and, being treated so well, they always take you to dinner and do great things for you. So I was, grateful for that, and just to feel like you're part of a team and you made it to the major leagues, and your number one goal is to work hard and help the team win. But I enjoyed just seeing cities. Traveling is my favorite hobby. So just the actual travel itself was what I enjoyed maybe the most about being on the road and playing ball during the summer.
How did how were you able to balance home life and career life, as baseball is one of the, or if not the longest season of sports, 162 games, if not including playoffs if you make it. How do you balance that, the time that you spend with your family and get to see them, and getting the practice and everything that you need?
Baseball season it's feast or famine. You're either with your family all day long till 4 p.m. or 3 p.m., or you're gone completely for weeks at a time. So it's a good question. It does require a lot of focus. Just like in anything, we have to balance our lives. If we get out of balance with personal hobbies or personal interests, now we have things that compete for our time, like social media, jobs in general. So I think it's the same baseball player as it is for others. And some days you do great, other days you do not. But I have 3 children, enjoy spending time with them and being in their lives. And my wife was a great support. We met in college in our freshman year, and then we've been married now 19 years this month. And so always had a great support system, which made it, made baseball much more manageable than it would have been for me otherwise.
That's awesome, and happy anniversary this month.
Hey.
I'll say congratulations on 19 years. So you spent a lot of time in Baltimore. If the boys and I took a road trip to Baltimore, where is one place we can't miss and one place we have to eat?
My favorite place to eat is, I want to say it's called Moe's. I got to remember what it's called. Moe's right there in Little Italy. My guy Farhad there has some of the best seafood you could ever have. Incredible blue crab. Everything he has is magnificent. So I would say go. I feel like I'm getting the name wrong, but I want to say it's called Moe's. And then what would I do in Baltimore if I were there? You just got to stay in safe places. Number one, you want to come out of there, in one piece. But the harbor is great. So I think just going down to the harbor, you can go check out. My favorite place to go was ESPN Zone before it closed down. So that's where I spent most of my time with my family, my boys. And in my spare time, I was either riding a bicycle in the harbor, or I was at ESPN Zone.
This is a two-parter. So you traded to the Royals in 2012. Do you remember that guy you traded for in that trade?
Yeah, Jonathan Sanchez.
Wow, didn't get that one. But describe the magic of that crazy World Series season with the Royals. What was that like as a player and just being part of that journey?
Well, the first year in 2014 was a surprise because we had just had the first winning season in Kansas City, and I think it had been 10 years that they'd had a winning season. And when we made it to the playoffs in 14, that was the first time in 29 years. So caught most of the fans off guard, and I think us as players, I don't know that we were super, super anticipating that. We had the organization had a lot of tough years leading up to it, but you had young players that believed in each other. You had a great coaching staff and a tremendous general manager and organization. And so good people made good things happen. And a young team that was hungry. We just never gave up. We mixed in a lot of good veterans to make it work. Could see the mentality shift as James Shields came over. I think he was hugely instrumental in changing our expectations and what our belief was in ourselves. And the result was winning baseball, and that playoff run. We won 8 games in a row in the playoffs to start, which I think at the time was a record. It might still be, I'm not sure. So an incredible run that you really can't really describe it other than just sheer excitement and a super emotional high every single day to be a part of both the World Series in 14 and then come back and repeat to show people in 15 that really wasn't a fluke, that this team is consistent and that they work together and without any kind of overwhelming superstar, that we could compete against every team and eventually be the best team in the league.
Awesome. I've got 2 questions for you. One, if my research is correct, it said you had 99 days rest before coming into the ALCS in Game 3. Is that correct?
No, I think I pitched on September the 28th and then again on October something. I'm not sure. I think it was maybe 14 or 15 days.
Oh, no, my research is wrong then. All right, then I'll skip
right.
to the second question.
Can't trust everything you see on the internet.
That is true. Game 7 of the 2014 World Series, you got the ball. What are the nerves or the anticipation of that game? What are the feelings, the emotions, anything that goes into, the greatest words in sports with Game 7?
Yeah. A lot of excitement, a lot of nerves. I'm not normally a nervous pitcher, but prior to that game, the fans were loud and cheering from about 6:30 on, or at least whenever half an hour before the game, they were cheering as though it was like in the middle of the game. And that's certainly not something you get accustomed to in any stadium, that fans are all there and cheering and ready to go. But I think it was all fanfare and excitement until you threw the first pitch, and then it really felt just like any other game. And I think that's the beauty of baseball and any sport and competition, that once you're in the moment, you do kind of eliminate everything around you, and it becomes the same sport, the same motions and movements that you've always done. And that's what allows, athletes to excel on what, for most people is a different level of competition. For the fans, it's a very heightened experience. And I think for me as a player, it just felt like I was in the same place I had been. I was comfortable. I felt prepared and was going to go do my best.
That's awesome.
I remember that year you guys won. I was following it pretty well. I had family who lives in Kansas City, and they were all surprised that everything happened. And so they were going as many games as they could, especially now that they were winning. They were going to games beforehand. And I was lucky enough, they actually sent me the hat of the year you guys won.
Mm-hmm.
But that season, it seemed like all the young guys kind of came in their own. Lorenzo Cain, Eric Hosmer, Salvador Perez, Alex Gordon, everyone in Moose all kind of came together. You pick up James Shields and Edison Volquez. One thing I want to talk about, that big World Series game, Edison Volquez takes the mound, and we found out the tragic news of his father passing in the Dominican Republic. Did you guys know before the game? Who knew? Did nobody know? What was that like? Because it was a huge game, and he definitely pitched his heart out. So just kind of what was going on when that happened?
From what I remember, the news came in during the game. It may have been a little bit before. I found out during the game, and our general manager was in the clubhouse talking to our director of operations, our clubhouse manager as well, and told him the news. And the family had requested that they not tell Edinson until after the game. And so I think it kind of spread player by player slowly. I don't think it was a quick thing, but over time, players started to hear more about it. And, I think by the end, most knew except Bolkes. And so as soon as he was taken out of the game, I remember his wife and kids were in the clubhouse, and they welcomed him into the clubhouse, which surprised him. And they gave him the news. And so I think immediately he flew down to Dominican and rejoined us to pitch in must have been game 5 that he came back and pitched for us.
Later after the Royals, how did you like teaching the young players from your teams, kind of help develop them throughout the years, like the guys in Rangers and the Marlins? What was it like teaching them?
Players today know, I feel like they know more than what I ever grew up knowing, at least kind of in the sabermetric side of things and the mechanical sides. But it's fun whenever you're with players that have an interest in learning or asking questions. It gets a lot of fun. And we had those type of players both in El Paso and down in New Orleans, guys that were interested in knowing about pitching and also about just life in general. And it's enjoyable when someone has a desire to learn.
It said that you played in the Mexican League for a little bit. What is, the difference between the MLB and then the Mexican League?
Well, everything except for the ball. Well, I guess the ball is even different too. I guess my glove was the same. That was about the only thing that was the same. I played in the summer Mexican League. There's 2. There's a winter one as well. I played for Los Acereros del Norte in Monclova, and quite exciting. It's just different. Just a different perspective. The players are in a completely different stage of life with different opportunities. Many of them play for just pure love of the game, with no real expectation of going beyond where they are. Others do have the dream of making it to the major leagues. I thought it was outstanding just to go to some of the cities in Mexico and play with some of the players who were on totally different ends of the deal. I had Chad Godin, who pitched, I think he pitched more than I did even in the big leagues. He was down there as a teammate, and a couple of other guys who had played minor league ball. I was with Willie Taveras, who had been a teammate of mine in my first year in Akron. So I love just being in those circumstances and appreciating baseball for what it is. And that's why I took that opportunity to go pitch there as well as down in Australia.
You could pick 3 former teammates for a golf foursome. Who would you choose?
Well, I'm not going to pick them because they're good. I'll pick them because they'll be fun to hang out with. I'll take Shields and Holland and Wade Davis. And we're going to lose some balls, and we're not going to do much. And Shields will try to tell you otherwise, but it's not going to be pretty. We're going to lose the tournament, but we're going to have fun doing it.
I got 2 questions for you. One, where was your favorite place to play?
My favorite place to pitch was Toronto. I loved pitching in Rogers Center.
There you go. And
is that what you meant? My favorite, I loved all my cities. So fun to play in Cleveland, fun to play in Baltimore and Kansas City. I guess Colorado didn't go super well, so maybe it wasn't quite as fun to play in Colorado for me. No disrespect to them. Just I didn't play to the level that I needed to, so it made it quite a different experience from the other places.
And what were I guess the major differences between hopping through the teams or from different organizations? Was there any real big life changes other than locations that came with any of those moves? Or
no, you know what? Baseball is a pretty, what's the word? I'm going to try to use a big word here. Homogenous environment. And it's really similar. Like you can go from one team to the next and it feels like nothing's really changed. And so I think it's one of the unique things about baseball. There's just a good fraternity there, and organizations are very, at least, at the big league level, are always trying to do anything they can to accommodate you and help you. So I looked at a change of team as a really exciting time. The times that I did change was, I enjoy change, and I thought it was a lot of fun.
Just a side note from baseball. Little thing I found out is that you're a big sneakerhead, or at least was. I heard about your sneaker vault. Do you still have that? How is it looking? Have you added? Have you gotten rid of some shoes?
I don't have a vault anymore. I sold my house that I had the vault in, um, but I have all my shoes. So um, quite a few of them. And yeah, if you ever want to check it out, you can go to YouTube. A lot of people know me for shoes, even beyond baseball. So that's fun. I think that's probably a better shoe collector than I was a pitcher.
Well, what was the best rookie yet little like a joke that was played on you, like Cleveland?
Uh, Bob Wickman, they do something called credit card roulette. And, you can tell it's going to be set up against the rookie, but they'll get a $10,000 dinner at the end of the season and make everyone throw their credit cards in there. And, it always comes out, oh, we got the rookie's credit card. So, they did that to me and played it cool. It's like, nah, not really sure if they're going to charge me $10K or not, but oh, well, if they do, come back around at some point in time. So they take your card and tell you that you're going to pay for it. You just kind of wear it and come back, and deep down you're praying, I hope I don't have to pay for that $10,000 dinner, as they give you your credit card back. But anyways, that was one that I remember they played on me, of course.
I was watching that 95, I think it was ALDS maybe, with the Mariners and Yankees. I saw Wickman playing for the Yankees, clean shaven, long hair. I'm like, that's not what I know from like the Indians.
Yeah, I didn't realize he had long hair too. I had to go back and watch that.
What was the best prank that you played on a rookie?
Oh heavens, I wasn't much of a prankster. I have to think about that. Maybe the best one I saw was somebody parked really close to the clubhouse, and a veteran told him that was a spot for the veterans, and the young player didn't really listen to it. So the next day they took his keys and they drove his car up onto one of the fields in spring training, parked it on the middle of the field, and filled it up with popcorn from the concession stand and left it on the field. And so he had to work through those issues for a few hours, trying to get that all figured out.
Brutal.
They like to mess with cars in the major leagues. You mess with veteran players, you better hide your keys or walk to the field the next day. It's not a good thing to take your car.
I was gonna ask, what is life like after the big leagues? How have you adjusted, and how quickly did you find your kind of new niche, or maybe if it was an old niche, brought it back up? So how was the adjustment period like?
Good question. I retired in April of 2017, and towards the end of the summer, my family and I were asked if we would come down and be missionaries again for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so we were asked to do that. We accepted the invitation. And so we started making preparations really right after my baseball career had ended, to come down and work with, a couple of hundred missionaries from all over the world, between 18 and 21 years old, typically, and all for the purpose of sharing faith in Jesus Christ, inviting others to learn more of him and apply it in their lives. And so that's what takes up my time. And I haven't really had too much adjustment to do, because I jumped full bore into this responsibility, or this calling, as they call it. And so we moved our family from Portland to Houston, Texas. We've lived here for 2 years, and life is very busy. It's much more busy than when I was a baseball player. So that's a challenge, and I'm learning a lot, and certainly growing in many ways.
Let me hop in here real fast, guys. How you doing?
Very well.
So you just talked about you're a big proponent of faith. How much when you were bouncing around from teams to teams, how much was your faith tested, and how did you stay strong through that adversity period?
Yeah, I think that the test, or my faith, was the anchor. And so when everything else was crazy, when your ERA was in the sevens, and your excitement for baseball was waning, and you were stuck in a terrible hotel room with another roommate you didn't really like, in a AA city that you didn't want to be in, it was the faith that anchored me to kind of hope, and just knowing that the most important thing to me was my family and what I believe the purpose of life is. And so I think that helped me to not get too caught up in the results of baseball, because when you just think of baseball, it's like, oh, all that matters is a good ERA and making it to the next level and being successful in the big leagues. And for me, had I put that much pressure on myself, I think it would have been a lot more difficult. I don't know if I would have ever made it to the major leagues, but because my number one priority was always something different, it just allowed me to take the ups and downs of baseball a little bit better. Now, I wasn't perfect, so I still got upset myself and still felt like the world was coming to an end at times. But it anchored me and never let me go too far away from the most important things in life.
What was your biggest takeaway from professional baseball? What is the greatest thing that you learned, or anything?
I think probably just understanding what success is. Coach John Wooden is my favorite kind of teacher of what success is. And he stated that it's the peace of mind that is a direct result of self-satisfaction that comes from knowing you did your best to become the best that you are capable of becoming. And baseball is a game of failure and a game of a lot of uncontrollable outcomes. And so I think baseball helped me recognize what is success. And success is doing the things that you can control over and over again and being consistent there. And that's blessed me in my academic life, my family life, and my spiritual life.
So right now, it's a lot of talks between owners and players for start of the season this year. How important is it, do you think, for baseball this season to be played?
Well, I think it's my video cut off. I think that everyone wants to see baseball. Everyone loves baseball. So hopefully they can come to an agreement that makes sense for both sides. And most importantly, we pray that they can be able to go out there and entertain fans and help get people's minds off of some challenges, right? There's a lot of difficult things going on in life. And so sports is a nice oasis for a time from those real life problems that always are going to be there and that we always need to work through. So I think it would also be a good, be a good platform for a lot of people to advocate for important things in life right now. There's a lot of discontent and there's a lot of oppression that's being brought to the forefront, and it's great to see people unified in wanting to bless and be respectful of all human beings. And so that's I think baseball and other sports will be a good platform to further that conversation as well, and to be able to make the world a better place.
Well, I asked you to grab a baseball because I want to see how you gripped your pitches. So what was your arsenal and how did you grip your pitches?
Nothing special. 4-seam fastball. Do it on the horseshoe like this. 2-seam. I just grabbed 2 seams and do it as hard as I could. Change up. I tried to really pull down on this finger and kind of invert the ball. I threw my curveball with kind of a pseudo spike. I didn't really dig my nail into it, but I just tried to get that finger out of the way. And then slider. Tried to come over the top of the horseshoe here with a little bit of a 45-degree axis and follow through down like fastball. So that's what I threw: fastball, curveball, changeup, and slider. And it worked every now and again. And lucky enough to be able to play baseball for 15 seasons.
Wow. It was just about the sneakers because I'm into watching the sneaker shopping. I don't know if you've seen that with Joe Puma.
I haven't.
It's on Hulu. It's pretty good. He goes around and he takes different athletes, artists, big name guys to like Flight Club, big kind of shoe stores, and just asks them questions and then lets them go and see what they pick out. And he asks typically what the rotation is. So if you had 5 shoes that you could only wear for the rest of your life, what would they be and why?
How about I just tell you the 5 that I wear? I wear my black Cause 4s. I wear my off-white Prestos. I like to wear my Chicago 1s. I like to wear my Solar Yeezy 2s. And I love to wear the Weatherspoon Air Max 97s.
Impressive.
How's that? How's that for my rotation?
Good.
Very impressive.
In the bullpen, we have the Red October Yeezy 2s with, I gotta think of what's on my shelf right now. A pair of, you probably won't even know this, Ergo LWPs. If you don't know what those are, go look them up. They're life-changing.
Not off the top of my head. My brother.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Most sneakerheads wouldn't even know what they are, but PJ Tucker does. PJ Tucker respects that. He's got enough game to understand what the Elgo WP is.
He has, yeah, he's probably the top
Oh, that's kind of nice.
out there. He's got thousands and thousands of shoes. It's crazy to see that.
Yep. There you go. My top two right now, there were some kind of wingtip shoe and some other kind of dress shoe. That's all I get to wear. So
you don't mix and match. You don't dress up with your shoes. Say you come in a suit with some ones, or
I did as a baseball player, but I try to be more conservative as a representative, like I am now. So,
Awesome.
well, y'all, it's been great. Thanks for having me on. Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Okay, be good.
you too. Best of luck.
Thank you.